whatsoever. So don't be surprised if I start going, we are live! We are live on Facebook. Yes, Facebook, thank you for your notice. You never give me notice. I don't know why you don't give me notice, but I am joined today by Jilah. Jilah, I can't pronounce your surname without massacring it. So I'm just going to say Jilah with Jilah's Tiny Kitchen. But Jilah, before we start, we have to do a pose.
Have we got to do the ding?
For the Facebook algorithm. Do me a favor, Jilah, just turn your phone to the horizontal to see if it
horizontal.
Oh, that's better. We can see more of you now, and just.
Oh, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Oh, hey,
I'm going to get a really aching arm by the end of it.
Okay, well, hey, don't talk too much, and it'll be off quick. Right, right. We're going to do our pose. One.
It'll be worth it, Nigel.
I'll start again. 1, 2, 3. Pose.
God, how corny! We do corny things for the greater good, don't we?
Hey, you actually you look like a statue, Ben. It was absolutely really. I was going to actually say, have you frozen?
Oh, what? Sorry.
You was like a statue. I thought the screen had froze.
I'm naturally statuesque anyway. Go on.
So, Jilah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Hate Selling Facebook business page. I've known you for a few months now, and you are a personality, to say the least. I remember, I think the first time we met, you sung to me and a group of strangers, and it was like, yeah, man, this lady's got skills. So I'm really chuffed that I've got the opportunity to interview today and share your kind of business with the people who are watching today. So Jilah, before we go any further, how do I pronounce your surname? Because I did try and pronounce it earlier and made a right big mess of it. And
oh, bless you for trying. It's Bakhshayesh, so it's Bakhshayesh. It's a 3-part process. You say Ach Bakhsha, and then Yesh, Shayesh, Bakhshayesh.
Wow, honestly, the way you say that, it sounds beautiful the way that you pronounce it.
Thank you.
I'm going to get you to say your surname a few times throughout the interview, okay? So, I've got goose pimples, man. What's all that about?
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
So, Jilah, please tell us, what do you do for a business?
Well, I'm a cafe bar owner turned online cookery school.
Oh,
that's what I am. So I had a cafe bar, and that ran for 5.5 years, and then COVID struck, and during lockdown we did a variety of things. We had a cafe, we had a licensed bar. It was day and evening, 3 days a week, because the town it was in is not a busy town. And I used to do also, it was a big place, so I had a capacity for 200 people. So I had the capacity to do functions and stuff, which I used to do, and private functions as well, this cafe. And we had quite a few functions lined up for this year. This year was going to be the year, actually, we took off. The irony of it is, we've taken off 2-3 years ago, and then it kind of leveled out. And then this year was the year again that was going to go boom, because I had that much stuff scheduled in the diary. So I went through a process of going, right, okay, we won't be a cafe during the day anymore. We'll just go for where I can make it the most sustainable. But then clearly, you can't make it sustainable in times of COVID, because we can't pack the place out with 100 people minimum. So it was a case of realizing that no, it's a hard work. It's bloody hard around the clock, non-stop. It was normal for me. I don't drive, so it was normal for me to be walking home at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning if I didn't get a lift with somebody. And it was just, I've done 5.5 years of absolutely, and I built it from nothing, literally nothing, and literally built it on footfall, no investment, no nothing, and sustained myself. So I kind of thought, right, if I go back now, it has to be because I can go back in a much healthier position, physically and mentally, as well as emotionally, as well as financially. And that I know that this is now, because it started out as, I realized I was hobbying as a business in the first year. I was full of passion. I couldn't believe that I had this place.
That's That's what happens with great cooks. They just cook. They're like, hey, I'm cooking.
This is it. You do it at home all the time. And, you know, people always saying, you know, Jilah's restaurant, come to Jilah's. And I was always having people around. I was always cooking. And so it was all happening in my own home anyway. So I just transferred that into the cafe.
Yeah.
And, you know, I used to give it away sometimes. At the end of the night, if people came in, and I obviously didn't want the wastage and it was still building, rather than saying, you know, you can have it for half price, you say, take it. It felt immoral to give it for half price.
How come we didn't know each other then? Because I love free food.
Oh, yeah, that would have been good. That would have been good.
No, you
so basically I had to think about what was going to be, and it wasn't going to be profitable. It wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't going to be sustainable. I've moved out of that space of just riding on the passion of it and not worrying about whether I brought in any money. And I was now ready to kind of go, right, no, it's either sustainable or it's not. If it's not, end it and move on to something else. And I got into it, kind of grew as a result of in my kitchen during lockdown, when lockdown started. I didn't want to switch off from the world, and I also didn't want people to forget, really, and I wanted to keep that link with my Butterfly House customers. So, and I got into really going for my Persian food.
I'm going to stop you for a second, because you seem to have transitioned from one question to another. Stop. Right.
I've internalised those questions you sent me all night last night.
So let me just summarise. So you started off with what was the first business you had?
The Butterfly House at the Tours.
Right, okay. And you said that was in a village. Where was this village?
It was in New Mills.
Ooh,
a small town.
Beautiful part of Derbyshire.
Yeah, on the Derbyshire-Cheshire border.
Surrounded by hills and sheep and beautiful.
I'm surprised. I'm impressed. You know it. That's fantastic.
I've done a lot of sales across the country, so I know I've been everywhere. So obviously, when COVID hit and with the lockdown and the fact that people couldn't congregate at your establishment, you decided, right, I've done a lot of cooking at home already. It's what I'm good at. I like entertaining. Let me do my own thing. And that's what's inspired you to start Jilah's Tiny Kitchen.
It is. I mean, it wasn't quite so crystallized as that in the first place. Originally, it was just a case of, until I go back to the Butterfly House, I'm going to cook in my kitchen and show people what I'm cooking. I'm going to keep the link. I'm going to keep my customers, you know, remembering me. And I wanted to communicate. I wanted to share. It's a very social time in the cafe. Everybody that came in was like my own personal guest at home. I used to go around after I'd come and finished in the kitchen. I used to go around the tables and meeting people that I didn't know and saying, "Oh, what did you have? Oh, did you like that? Well, have you tried this?" And it's like it was a total. The actual giving of the product and the service and the food was a labour of love. People that walked in were my treasured guests. So that's how I felt, and that sense of connection with them didn't go just because we were on lockdown. And I wanted to still communicate with them and connect with them. So that was my starting point in the kitchen when I was cooking all this Persian food. And I just thought it would be interesting and it'd be good for my girls. Schooling, media studies.
Forget your girls. What about your friends who you keep sending pictures to and not sending any food to? I mean, you know, it's quite torturous what you do when you put those images on Facebook of those wonderful dishes that you've created and there's steam coming off them and all the colours, and it's like, why?
Yeah. So that was it. People started really enjoying the Persian food and watching it. And I became a woman on a mission to reclaim my Persian heritage again, which I'd been cooking all my Persian food before the cafe. And I did do some Persian food in the cafe. But I also did other things, and I hadn't really focused on it as much as I'd wanted to. Yeah. So I thought, right, I'm gonna go mad for it now. I want my girls. They're half Iranian, as well, 3/4 Iranian. So I want my girls to have more Persian food at home from me. So I got stuck in, and I started, and we started recording it, and it grew from that. Jilah's Tiny Kitchen turned into something that I realised I could do from home and actually. As a business.
And what is it about Persian food then? So, you know, Persian food, you got American food, you got French food. What is it about Persian food particularly?
Persian food is, to my mind, it's got to be one of the most complete cuisines that exists because there's such balance in the ingredients. There's, according to the traditional way of deciding what to cook and what ingredients to put together. In the Middle East, including Iran, including Persia, the Persian Empire, is the system of Unani. It's Unani.
Yeah.
And that system is a very traditional one. Some Iranians don't care about it.
Okay.
And some Iranians still are attached and connected to their grandma, grandparents, their aunts, their parents, who would say, don't eat that with that. That's too cold. Don't eat that with that. Don't have yogurt with fish. Fish is cold. Yogurt's cold. You'll get a bad tummy. They're still connected to that. They still remember it, and it applied itself. It happened. You know, it does happen. You get and that's it, because the all foods have different temperatures. So hot, cold, also wet, dry. Yeah. We ourselves, according to this system, I'm not saying this is gospel, according to this system, we also have tendencies in terms of our temperature and our wetness and our dryness, hot, cold. So the idea is that, you know, for example, when my children were young, and they're at that toddler age where suddenly they get a rash, and you know, you can naturally go, oh my God, you've got meningitis, rush them down to the hospital. But their father, who grew up in Iran, and was very much aware of all these things, said, don't worry about it yet, just give them some yogurt. Of course, yogurt cools it down. What's the rash? Rash is an example of heat. Yogurt will cool it down. So our first port of call, before giving Calpol, before rushing them down to the doctor, which we would do if needs be, don't get me wrong, our first port of call was to give them some yogurt. Okay. And literally within an hour, the rash was no longer there.
And was this like just normal, no sugar, no fruit yogurt?
No, it was it wasn't. I mean, we weren't strict about sugar or whatever. You know,
I was thinking, I mean, if you're going to give me a fruit corner every time I get a rash, then that's a juicy bonus.
It can't be a Muller corner. No, it was raw live. Oh. It was live.
Real
it
yogurt.
Was live natural yogurt.
Yeah, real yogurt.
Okay, so I mean, but basically, to cut a long story short, that's a quick way of saying that from that system is a way of utilizing food.
Yes.
According to your body type, is it hot, cold, wet, dry?
Yes.
And according to the properties that the foods have themselves.
Exactly.
And this is what I love about Persian cuisine, traditional Persian cuisine, is that if you are mindful of those things, which, like I said, some Persians are, some Iranians aren't. I mean, I rang an elderly friend of the family who's in her 80s for some advice on the properties, the hot and cold properties of some ingredients. And I just thought she'd reel them off. She's in her 80s, she'll reel them off. You know, she'll be, you know, we'll have a really good chat about this. And I rang her, and she said, I don't know, I've never really thought about it. So, well, yeah, might not. I don't think it's scientific. Yeah. And then I suddenly realised, right, okay, yeah. For those who...
There is some science behind it, because I do remember reading.
There is a science behind it.
Because,
but what I don't want people to think is that everybody in Iran is eating like that. And
no.
It's something that you can connect with and utilise, that you grow up with, and that you continue utilising, and you can learn more about, and that can become into quite a solid system of health.
Yeah.
And I like that for the cooking of the food, and it makes so much sense, the combination of ingredients. So, you know, we'll never mix fried onion and fried garlic together if the other ingredients are all hot.
Yeah.
Because onion and garlic are both hot as well. Yeah. But in a soup called ashareshte, there's so many greens in it, loads of herbs, fresh and dried herbs that are cooling, are cold. You can put onion and garlic in together without it upsetting the balance. So it's things like that.
Yeah. As I say, I remember
not just about one your tongue.
Reading some a report recently, and it was saying about foods that you shouldn't combine, and it was on about meat and fruit and stuff. And then when you kind of sit there and think about it, there are certain foods that you eat which do trigger a bodily response.
Yes.
And it's not always a positive body response. So anyway, off that subject. So in terms of Jilah's Tiny Kitchen, tell us about some of the challenges that you've had to overcome.
I wrote these down, funnily enough, because I had to stop, had to ponder on it. Hang on, let me just. Number one, okay, going from physical building, to being in doing something just physical buildings, hands-on, easy. Go in the kitchen, roll your sleeves up, chop an onion, fry it, whap it out. But at home, there's a whole load of marketing processes you've got to get to in order to get you in the kitchen out there to the people, but not only just on Facebook Live, but in a way that makes you money and in a way that you can earn a living. So it was the technical things to do with that was my challenge that I needed to learn about. And it's I would recommend anybody who wanted to go from one to the other before launching online, actually spend a few weeks, a few months, even a year, if you can do that. But just learn, spend some time learning before catapulting out without that support.
The problem with too much learning, though, is that action never actually happens. So I would always say learn, then put it into action, then learn, then put it into action. I mean, in terms of the technology side of things, I know personally that you've overcome a lot of technology issues that you had to the point now where I'd say you're pretty, you know your way around the website. I know that blooming much. So that's fantastic. So
thank you.
I mean, what other advice would you give somebody who was looking to start a business?
I wrote a few points down again because I had a really good think about this.
It's a good job I send these questions out in advance.
It blooming is. Yeah. Right. First of all, let's have a look. Where's my first page? Advice. Right. Yeah. First of all, I would say, look at what's the state of the world now? What is the state of what people are spending their money on? What is the state of the commercial world? What is the state of people's habits, people's patterns, right? How is that related to the past and changing in the future? And how is that a sign of the future? And can you go with that sign of the future, first of all? Can you fit in with that sign of the future? All those aspects that are changing, can you fit in with that future? Or can you only fit in on the final journey of the past before the future starts taking over? So are you part of the future? And then, obviously normal business startup questions converge with this, don't they, for 2020? But, is there a market for what you want to sell and earn a living from? Is this what you want to sell? Is it a side hustle, or is it do you need it to be a main income? If you need it to be a main income and you're not sure if there's a market, or if you don't think there is a market, can you generate a market?
Go, girl! Listen to you, man. I'm on the spot. I'm like,
get out!
You sound like some business coach, man. You're scaring me. I like the part that you said about the future, though, because right now you're absolutely right. COVID, coronavirus, 2020, completely right off. If, in my opinion, if business owners haven't kind of worked out that they can't go 100% back to the old way of doing things, if they're not online right now, if they're not online, they're going to get left behind. And that's the reality of it, because this is the way it's going. We've got Black Friday coming up on Friday. Do you think anyone's going to a shop to buy stuff? No,
that's it.
It'll all be online. So absolutely, that makes absolute sense. Just before we wrap up, Jilah, I just want to see if we've got any comments coming.
My God, that was quick. Are we wrapping up already?
Good grief, we've been on.
Nigel, I've got loads I want to say. Loads.
Almost 21 minutes. Hey, I reckon you should do a live on your page and invite people along to it. I think that would be really good.
Yeah, maybe.
Right. Hi, Jen Styles.
Oh, hello,
Jen. Jen Styles said that you need to learn how to cook it, Nigel. Okay.
I've said that once, and I'll say it again, Nigel. To you. I've said that. I'll teach you.
Yeah, Frederick Wilson says, missing you.
Fred, what did he say?
Looking forward to eating together soon.
Yeah, that would be amazing, and it won't be a Kentucky Fried Bucket either.
Okay, Fred. I like them. I like them lyrics. Very smooth. I take it that's a friend of yours, isn't it? From
way back. Music Times. We used to gig together. sing together, perform together on stage.
This is the thing, Jilah. You have so many corners to you that there's not enough time in the day to kind of go through everything. But I definitely think going forward, now you've launched Jilah's Tiny Kitchen, do a few live videos, not cooking, just telling people what it's about, what you're about, and humanize the whole thing, so people can say, she used to sing, and she does Persian food, and she knows about Unani, and I can't pronounce her surname, but say your surname for me one more time.
Bakhshayesh. Bakhshayesh.
Stop it now. Stop. Right. So, going to wrap up now. But is there anything that the Love Sales, Hate Selling followers, members, anyone watching can do for you right now to help?
Yeah. Just kind of try and get me. I need to connect out as much as possible, network out. I need coverage. I've not paid for any kind of promotional ads yet, because I'm treading carefully with that. But yeah, anybody share, go on to Jilah's Tiny Kitchen, go on to the Butterfly House of the Tours online as well.
Well,
I've turned the Butterfly House, I've kept the Butterfly House of the Tours, and it's not just Jilah's Tiny Kitchen now. So I've got both Jilah's Tiny Kitchen, which is the Persian, and my own recipes that I create in Jilah's Tiny Kitchen. And then there's also the Butterfly House of the Tours online. And from that, I'm bringing back the recipes, the dishes that were in the cafe that people loved, that I made everything from scratch. So everything was, I have my own, I didn't follow recipe books. Most foodies and chefs don't. I didn't follow recipe books.
So
I've got an event on the 12th of December from the Butterfly House at the Tours online, where I'm teaching people to make 4 dishes that were our favourite dishes in the cafe, and that were like signature dishes. Right. So there's the homemade sausage rolls. Yep. There's home roasted ham hock, which I used to boil it with various things, which infused flavour in it, not just bunging it in the oven. And then maple roasted butternut squash, which was everybody loved that. And then a beetroot and feta salad, which I've got secret ingredients in there, and if people pay me, I'll tell them what they are.
You not pay. I don't say.
Go to my Facebook page and have a look at it. It's a day in the life of the Butterfly House Kitchen.
What I'd like you to do is, when we're finished, we'll be going back to this video on the page, and I want you to drop your links in.
All my links,
your descriptions. This is for this, boom. This is for, because there's quite you've conveyed quite a lot of information there. It would be easy for someone listening to think, well, is it Jilah's Tiny Kitchen or the Butterfly House at the Tours, or do I go to the website? So definitely, put a bit of blurb in the comments. Hi, thank you. This is what I do. Bash, and then people who watch the replay will then be able to bounce onto those links and have a little look around themselves. But Jilah.
Yeah. Nigel,
to the end, do not go anywhere, because we'll have a debrief. People who are watching, thank you so much for joining us today. Frederick Wilson says wisdom, not Wilson. Oh, I must have called him. Sorry, Frederick.
What did Fred say?
His name's Wisdom, not Wilson. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's Wisdom. He's a wise guy as well. He is a wise guy. Fred is the most incredible artist. When we were touring, he'd be sitting in the back of the van doing his incredible artwork. And while we were touring and gigging, he also started his own company, Afro Card Company.
Oh, I think I've met him, actually. I'm sure I met him at the
wouldn't surprise me.
Food and Drink Festival at Lilleshall.
Right.
5 or 6 years ago. But that's another story for another day. Hey,
Absolutely
Mark Knowles, thank you for joining us. Right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. You can catch hold of Jilah. She's going to leave all of her links in the comments. Thanks for joining us today, and we shall catch up with you very soon. Jilah, see you on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
Thank you.
And,
I'll be on the other side. Thanks, everyone. Bye.